The original iPhone SE was released in 2016, so it's around 5 years old now. And essentially the iPhone SE is the guts of an iPhone 6S in the body of an iPhone 5S. In 2021, the iPhone SE can be picked up online on sites such as eBay for between £50 and £100. And this raises the question, how does the iPhone SE hold up in 2021, and is it worth considering buying? And the short answer is that it holds up well. And if you're looking for a cheap and very small phone, the iPhone SE is actually quite a good buy. If you have used any new iPhone that's been released since the iPhone SE, the first thing that you'll notice is how small it is. I remember first getting my iPhone 5 and thinking that it was massive, but in a world of big phones, this really is a small phone. The iPhone SE has a 4-inch Retina display, which holds up fine. It gets bright enough, it's good enough quality, and I really don't think that many people will have a problem with this display. And it also sports the rather large top and bottom bezels, but this does come with the benefit of Touch ID, which for me is my favourite method of unlocking your phone, and in a world of face masks, it's absolutely perfect. Apart from being too small for my use now, this is actually my favourite iPhone design ever. The squared off sides and body look and feel great. This is a super solid phone and will survive many drops. This durable design does come at a cost and it doesn't have wireless charging, but this is something that's really easy to live without. Even the buttons are satisfying to click, like they just feel really tactile and clicky. One weird thing that I did notice was how much better the vibrate motors have got in the new phones. So if you put the iPhone SE on silent, there's a real buzz to it. Whereas if you put one of the newer phones on silent, it more feels like it's just tapping you or tapping the table, and it doesn't have a buzz to it. And of course it doesn't make a difference in everyday life when you're just putting your phone on silent, but it just feels a lot nicer on a newer phone and is something that I noticed. Finally, the iPhone SE does have a headphone port. I think this was the last iPhone ever to be released with a headphone port. Very few phones that are 5 years old are still running the latest software, but Apple has given the SE iOS 14. This is expected to be the last major software update that this iPhone receives, so bear that in mind. The software is not out of date today, but if you buy it within a matter of months, it will be out of date software. Apple does have a bit of a habit of supporting iPhones for a long time, and often the final version of iOS that they are given tends to leave the phone pretty bad. I had a major hurdle installing iOS 14, it got stuck on the loading screen for like hours and hours. However, when I did finally get it updated, I must say I was really pleasantly surprised. iOS 14 works on this phone and it's really stable. I did experience a few bugs, such as this one. But other than that, iOS 14 works really well. App loading times aren't as quick as a new iPhone, but it's definitely more than acceptable, and I think that most people won't notice it. You can pretty much do any app or game that you can do on a brand new iPhone, and it feels surprisingly good. So I've downloaded Minecraft and I was playing about on it, and it performed really well, this iPhone. It got a little bit warm at times, but in general it did perform very well. The performance right now is solid, and it's a capable phone and it's able to run any modern app. It's important to reiterate that this is likely the final version of iOS that this phone will receive, so within a matter of months it will be running outdated software, but just because it isn't running the latest version of iOS, it doesn't mean that the phone will all of a sudden stop working. You have several years of apps still being supported and it basically doing all the things that a brand new iPhone can do. The battery life here really isn't that great, and I think a big part of that is just because it's such a tiny phone, and all second-hand phones will have batteries that have been aged, and that could be a reason why the phone that I've got's quite bad. The battery for this phone can be picked up online for around £25, so that's really not too bad, and there are other choices online that are cheaper as well, so I think that if you've got the knowledge, you should definitely change the battery yourself, or you can get someone to do it, and I'm sure it won't be too expensive. The iPhone SE camera is actually kind of okay. It's definitely not the best camera by any means, but within the right lighting situations, it's fine. You can definitely use it to take photos of your friends and your family, and the photos will hold up well, they're very viewable, and it's not offensive at all. There's a 12 megapixel rear camera, and it's also able to shoot video at 4K 30, and iPhones have always done really good video, and I think for the age, the video on this is quite good as well, and you probably won't be filming in 4K 30, I don't think it's necessarily needed, but the video is okay. It's a little bit shaky, I did find, but other than that, the video is also fine. The front camera on this iPhone is a 1.2 megapixel camera, and you can definitely tell that it's only 1.2 megapixels. It's not very good, but again, if you're just going to be FaceTiming a few people or taking selfies, it's good enough. It's fine. It's a very bright day today. The front-facing camera, you know what? It's not too bad. It's not great, but it's just not too bad. To conclude, this phone is actually fairly capable for a £50 price tag that it has got. It will definitely be usable for probably 3 or 4 more years to come. It won't be the best phone, but it will be one of the smallest iOS phones that's usable that you'll be able to find. If you are going to buy this for around £50, you should definitely buy it expecting to spend a little bit more on swapping out the battery. This phone has lost 28% of its battery from this morning, and I've only got 20 minutes of screen time on here, and it's not really been doing anything in the background. I've just been filming it essentially. So it's definitely worth noting that you will have to buy the battery. But it's quite a good small phone, and I think it's the last of its kind of a phone that's this small. And the more that I used it, the more I found myself getting really quite comfortable using a phone that was this size. And if I'm being honest, I could probably quite happily just daily drive this phone and have it as my main phone, and like it does everything that my newer phone does. Thank you for watching. I hope this was somewhat informative. Please do consider subscribing for more technology themed videos, whether it be phones, computers or consoles, whatever it is. As you can see on the chart on your screen right now, only 1.2% of my views comes from people who are subscribed to my channel. So please do consider subscribing. Let's get that statistic up a little bit. Thank you for watching.